12 than 15.
I do have to admit,
definitely.
though, if you like this kind of style and you want a co-op game, there's actually a new Final Fantasy game coming out. It's either this month or next month, which actually is co-op multiplayer Final Fantasy with this kind of combat.
Do you mean the Paradise?
Let's go.
Yeah,
let's go talk
multiplayer?
about the Final Fantasy Isekai game.
Yes.
I had no idea. I thought it was a single player.
No, it's multiplayer.
Damn.
Which made me just go, oh!
Damn, Georgie. We all need to get on that.
That would be sick.
That would be hype.
Yes, I am so hyped about this Stranger of Paradise game. I didn't even know about it until I can't remember where I saw someone mention it, but
I think it was me.
This game.
I think I mentioned it to you because it was co-op, and I was like, hey, I had no interest in this shit until I found out it was co-op. Look how sick this looks.
Yeah, this game looks phenomenal.
Because, like, off the bat, since we're talking about it, let's talk about Strangers in Paradise, right?
Mm-hmm.
First of all, this name sucks, I think. I think this is a bad name.
Yeah.
Stranger of Paradise sounds like a bad, like, romance movies from the 50s. Like, I'm some soldier out on leave, and look at these beautiful... And there's musical numbers and stuff. That's what I think when I hear Stranger of Paradise, right? It sounds... Doesn't stand out.
Yeah.
2, the main character's name.
Oh, this is a point of contention. This is interesting, actually.
Wait, didn't you say his name was like began with a J, wasn't it? Was it Jack?
It's Jack. The main character's name is Jack.
Yeah.
But is he jacked?
Well, yeah, but this is the problem, though. So, first of all, I agree about the name. I don't understand, first of all, why they swap the Final Fantasy round. So, every Final Fantasy game that I've ever seen has slowly started with Final Fantasy. So, and then it could have been Final Fantasy Origins, Stranger of Paradise. Why start with Stranger of Paradise?
That's what confused me.
I think because they don't want this, in case this fails, they don't want it listed as a, like, mainline entry, right?
Oh.
Yeah.
The mainline games are always Final Fantasy something, right? There's a battle royale for Final Fantasy right now. Did you guys know that?
There is. It's on the mobile, yeah.
Yes,
it's a mobile
it's called but it's not called like Final Fantasy. It's like The Last Soldier or something like that.
Yes. Yeah.
Is that the Final Fantasy 7 based one?
Vaguely.
Yeah.
Like
kind of
real loose.
Very vague. Yeah.
Yeah. It's again, so I think they do that to kind of keep their spin-off games separate just in case.
Oh, okay.
Now, the problem with this one is how much do you guys know about like what the story is of this and what like the premise is?
Nothing at all.
I know a little. So I know is that it's related to the very first game, and it's meant to be like essentially kind of based off the story, but it actually canonically, I don't think, from what I've heard, links into the Final Fantasy story. So it's kind of almost like a little like fanfic spin-off of the first game, essentially.
Are you familiar with what an isekai is?
Oh, you did mention this to me.
I have heard that mentioned.
Hence Stranger of Paradise, from another world.
Yeah. So isekais are like an anime trope where it's like, oh, I'm just an average school student, and then I got hit by a bus and died and woke up in this fantasy world.
Like things like Inuyasha and things like
Inuyasha, Sword Art Online, kind of.
Yeah, pretty much.
But yeah. So that's basically what this is. You're Jack Garland.
Jack Garland.
Yeah.
But Garland, if you remember the first game, is basically the Chaos Knight dude who was like the main villain in the very first Final Fantasy game. So there was all these theories about, is Jack Garland the main character in this game actually the villain, the same Garland, in the very first Final Fantasy game? And is that how it ties in? Or is this just some other, like, this is an idea for an origin story? Because it does say Final Fantasy Origin, but is it actually canon or no?
Yeah.
This first line, uncover the dark beginnings of Final Fantasy's first villain.
Yes.
Now, also, this is being made by Team Ninja, which I have a history with Team Ninja. I have some words about this studio.
Yeah.
Both good and bad.
Mm-hmm.
They made Neo and Neo 2, right? Which, the more I look at this game, the more I'm like, this is just Neo 2.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
But Final Fantasy. The combat, the gear systems they show, all of this is very much like Neo 2.
Yeah.
Which, if you're into Dark Souls, Neo 2 is a pretty cool game.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of what a lot of people, I think, wanted Sekiro to be.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Where Sekiro instead ended up being more of a Tenchu game than a Souls game.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. Do you like my Tenchu?
But I do. Tenchu is good. Yeah, there's nothing like. Don't get me wrong. I don't dislike Sekiro, but I don't consider it a Souls game. Yeah, if that makes sense.
Right.
It sounds real like gatekeepy, kind of like snobby and weird, but I think it's just the play style's too different and limited, and there's just too many things that make it not Souls, right? There's no build variety, there's no shortcuts, all that. But this game looks sick.
This
combat
game
looks quite fluid. I look at the combat.
It is. It's quite interesting because basically you can play as each like different characters, but there's basically a bunch of jobs that you can get. So there's like a job-based system.
Yeah, it's a lot like 14.
Yeah, so like you basically can have obviously different powers and stuff depending upon what you choose, and then there's also like advanced jobs and high advanced jobs as well. So like they're all things that have been seen in Final Fantasy games before. Like all of them have previously been seen. So for example, like Dark Knight, Samurai, Berserker, Dragoon, all the mage classes, Thief, Knight.
They've definitely got Paladin in there because you see the shield and sword. They've got there's Dragoon.
Yeah, so it's kind of, you know, a lot of things that have been seen previously, but kind of putting them all into one game, I guess. And
I gotta be fair, it looks very aesthetically pleasing for me. Like I like the sort of like custom loadouts you can have there as well.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. There's Monk. Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, after playing Final Fantasy 14, it's almost like they've taken 14 and put it into a game with a plot that's on like a different platform that's not like an open. Like it kind of feels a little bit like that. Like they've tried to make 14 more kind of like have like one plot, and it's not all open world. You're not going to have all these other people in it, you know?
Yeah. How multiplayer is the multiplayer?
Is the big thing.
Is it just three players? 3 players.
3, yeah.
Oh look, there's 3 of us.
Yeah,
it is meant to be.
I'm pretty sure. So again, I'm gonna make this comparison a few times, but Neo 2 works almost the same exact way, where it's 3 of you and you guys kind of just join each other on each other's missions.
Wait. You can have 3. You can have people join you in Neo 2.
I didn't know you could do that in Neo.
Yeah, I didn't know you could do that.
Yeah, that's I don't think I've ever done it, but I know me and Fat Shaggy were playing for a while and we had talked about it at one point.
Okay. I had no idea.
I don't know if we ever actually like got around to trying it.
Yeah.
Because we were both just fixated on treating it like a Souls game.
Yeah.
Which I want to pull up the trailer for Neo 2 just so you guys can see it and be like, oh, these are wildly similar. But yeah, this game, until I saw this trailer, I was not interested.
Yeah.
I'm quite interested. I will get this.
Yeah, I'm massively interested in this game. When does it come out again?
Wait,
did it say?
There's 27 jobs for it?
Oh, March 18th.
Yeah.
2022.
March 18th. So this one's actually, I didn't realize, by Nomura, who actually did Final Fantasy 15. So, well, some of Final Fantasy 15. So to be fair, it does remind, like, there's no, like, yeah, it makes sense why this is kind of similar,
why they look similar,
I guess. But it is also going to
This is very close.
Yeah, this is also out on PC too. So people thought it was going to be a PS4, PS5 exclusive, but actually, according to this, apparently it's also going to be launched exclusively digitally through Epic Game Store. So this will also be PC, which actually, that's a bit unusual for a Square Enix game, isn't it? Don't they usually just launch on, like, they don't usually launch on PC?
No, so
first,
mainline FF titles don't usually launch on PC, but their side games, I don't know. I'm not familiar enough with Final Fantasy to say if their side games, like these spin-offs, do.
In my experience, I would say no. Like most like Final Fantasy titles, or even like Kingdom Hearts titles, usually launch on console. They don't usually launch on PC until a much later point. So
that's what I meant.
Yeah, so it's weird that this is launching on PC, which is going to be interesting as to whether or not this is going to be crossplay. Which I can't find anything to say that it will or it won't.
Yeah, I don't know how. I'm trying to think what else Square Enix does, and if they've ever done crossplay.
So I don't think they have done crossplay. So obviously they've done multiplayer with Final Fantasy 14. However, I don't know if most of you knew, but a console-based multiplayer that they did was actually Final Fantasy 15 had a multiplayer side game that actually came out with the Final Fantasy 15 that then became its own separate game. And that was basically where you could play a group of you and you would essentially just do like the fighting mission, like the hunts from the game. And it was essentially you played like Kratos yourself and you would occasionally bump into certain people, and there was like points in 15 where you would like cross into kind of, but like it was a very strange game, but that died out very quickly. So it was not a popular multiplayer game.
Yeah.
And the servers became very dead very quickly. So it makes me curious as to them doing a game like this, where it's multiplayer from the get-go, that isn't like an MMO. I wonder how that's going to do, because they haven't done one before. Like, I think this might be like the first one really that they've done that's like from the get-go it's multiplayer that isn't an MMO. So this should be interesting. But
yeah, I'm curious to see how this is gonna. I'm curious to see how this is gonna get received, right? Because I feel like most Final Fantasy games you play by yourself for the most part. They're mostly like solo experiences. And every time they've tried PvP, I feel like that's failed, right? Like, I know the Dissidia games, they were not wildly, like, they had their time, but they weren't. They never took off.
No.
And same with PvP in 14, right? Like, most MMOs will have a PvP aspect, but in 14, it's almost dead.
Yeah.
So it makes me wonder if maybe it's just a sign of like maybe the Final Fantasy 14 fandom's just not interested in PvP, right?
Interesting.
Seeing as this would be co-op, this might do all right.
Fashak just brought up that Square Enix did Outriders and Dragon Quest.
But see, Outriders died out quite quickly as well. Though, like, how
for me,
like,
I did not have fun on that game. I did not have a good experience.
No, like that wasn't like, I didn't think it was a bad game, and I played like the demo.
Bad. It was bad.
I didn't think it was that bad, but I also didn't think it was worth the price tag.
I think
the price tag on it was too high for what it was. Like,
I had so many issues with that. It could be literally a whole podcast on its own. It's so joining lobbies with your friends almost impossible. Broken glitches. The sort of cinematography was awful. Like shaky cam every sort of scene.
But I think that was the problem, was that basically they shoved this huge price tag on it, and then they had this broken, glitchy game. And I think the idea and the concept was good, but I think if they just made it a lot cheaper from the start, it would have been all right. Whereas, like, I know people that paid like 60 quid for it, and then it went on Xbox Game Pass anyway. It went on Xbox Game Pass like a week out of launch, and it should have just been on there. It should have just launched on there.
A lot of us deleted it in the first week. It was like all of my friends were playing it. It was just not enjoyable, and it was rinse and repeat missions. Like, once you've played one or two missions, all the missions are the same.
Yeah.
But it was just different landscapes, but wrapped in the same. It was wrapped in the same wrapping paper, basically.
Yeah, I just found it kind of shallow, right? Like, it wasn't just like the gameplay was rinse and repeat, but even like people are like, well, you make another character, use a different build, have different powers, but it's like you were only able to have like 3 or 4 at a time.
Yeah.
So there was really only so much you could do, and you would unlock everything by like the halfway point of the game, and you're like, what am I looking forward to next?
Yeah.
Just the next highest number? That doesn't get the brain tinglies going. The dopamine release isn't there for number get bigger.
I think when I saw it, I felt like it was going to be more open world than what it ended up being. Like, when you play that first section of that game and you're in the woods and like in that, on that mission, and it's quite open, and then you kind of get to the next area and it's this very like small city, and you're very direct in where you're going, and then all the missions are very direct, and it just feels like when you're coming out into it, you're like, oh, this is going to be good, and then when you actually play the game, it narrows it down specifically, and you're very linear, and like it's like
it's a very linear path.
Yeah, like it wasn't. It was advertised, or even what like the first like hour or so posted it was going to be. But that's why I think this is quite interesting, because it's like, I don't feel like Square Enix, outside of an MMO, has done a successful multiplayer game or released a Final Fantasy game on PC that's been well received, because even like the Final Fantasy VII Remake, the Kingdom Hearts games, all the PC ports have had issues. And I wonder if they're clearly putting it on PC to make it out to a bigger audience immediately, but it makes me wonder how successful that's going to be and how well received that's going to be. So I think this is going to be an interesting one to see, because the thing is, I'm considering getting it on PC, but really? I don't know. Yeah, see, that's the thing, is that like, because then I could stream it if I want to and play it co-op with friends on stream, because I couldn't do that on PlayStation. But that's the risk, is that they're not known for good PC ports.